So, the WNBA. A'ja Wilson is, I would say, like, if you try to argue her lower than 3, you're crazy. I think she's probably the best player in the world. I think there's a good argument to be made in that. She is the Embiid of the WNBA, but healthy. She would be like if Joel Embiid was healthy 100% of the time. If Joel Embiid was an Iron Man. Like, the most dominant player in the WNBA without question. One of the best shot blockers, actually the best shot blocker, one of the best interior, like, help side defenders. She's one of the best scorers in the WNBA, if not the best scorer. And she's a hell of a player. Like, I don't want to, like, say anything negative about A'ja Wilson, the basketball player. But all I'm going to say is like, I would be saying the exact same thing if Joel Embiid was being pushed as the face of the WNBA. Oh, sorry, of the NBA. I would be saying the exact same thing if people were trying to push Joel Embiid as the face of the NBA. Like, I think Joel Embiid is one of the most unlikable players in basketball. I genuinely think he's incredibly unlikable, which is why I think, like, we're going to see Anthony Edwards being pushed as the face. I think the reality of the situation is that LaMelo Ball was probably being groomed to be the face of the NBA, but there is no one right now. If these young players coming through, like someone like a VJ Edgecombe with how good he is, I think Cooper Flagg's a jack of all trades type player. I think he's more of an AK-47, Sean Marion type player. He's not going to be the face of the NBA without question. But it's going to be very interesting because the face of sports, we had LeBron, we had Steph. There's a couple of things. Like, it is, you have to be at the top and you have to be super exciting. A'ja Wilson's one of the most boring players in basketball to watch, just putting it out there, just like Joel Embiid is. But she's just not likable. No offense to people that are A'ja fans. Like, if you're an Aces fan, if you're an A'ja fan, great. And I mean that, like, Sixers fans love Joel Embiid. But for the general population, and this is absolutely nothing to do with, like, with the reasons why. I'm not even going to entertain some of the reasons why people are going to say I don't think she's likable. I think, I'm putting it out there, I think Angel Reese is likable in a different way, because you can just tell that Angel Reese is unfiltered. She says some things that might be like, that might make people dislike her, but she's polarizing. You're either going to love Angel Reese or you're going to hate Angel Reese. I just don't know. Like, I just don't find there being any redeeming qualities to anything I've learned about A'ja Wilson outside of her on the basketball court. And I mean that. Like, obviously this clip is going around, and I hope there's, like, look, I don't know anything about America. This just sounds weird considering they're watching Caitlin Clark play Paige Beckers, and they're saying this, and Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young looks like she's done with. Jackie Young looks like, what the hell are you saying? She looks like she doesn't want to be there. Kelsey Plum looks confused at this. Like, considering the fact Kelsey Plum, like, there may not be a harder worker in the WNBA than what Kelsey Plum has had to go, like, has done. But this is a really weird, confusing point. You guys can read it on screen. I don't know what she's saying. I don't think this is as big a deal as what people have made it. Like, Jackie Young does not, like, Kelsey Plum's confused. Jackie Young's, like, not even entertaining A'ja Wilson. I think, like, whatever, it is what it is. I don't, like, that clip, I don't really care about it. Obviously, that's just a long list of things. But I'm going to go back to a year ago with the De'Arica Hamby situation. So, was it the De'Arica Hamby situation first? Yeah. The De'Arica Hamby situation. Like, she was the one player who was vocally pro Becky Hammon. Like, all the other players in the Aces were tiptoeing around it. They didn't want to say anything negative about their coach. But she was the most vocally pro Becky Hammon in the De'Arica Hamby situation. Like, I get it. Your coach is your coach. You don't want to badmouth your coach, but at least try to tiptoe around the situation to show 1 ounce of support towards De'Arica Hamby. Instead of being 100% pro Becky Hammon. But then also, we got to look last season, how she didn't win MVP. And you're looking at the Aces team. And by the way, some of the reasons I dislike A'ja Wilson is that I've almost linked her and Becky Hammon together. They do tend to back each other up to a fault. And it's like, last season she didn't win MVP and she's going mad about a 4th place vote. Was a 4th place vote ridiculous? Yeah, it was. But it's 1 4th place vote at the end of the day. Like, I'm sorry. It would be like the equivalent of, let's say, a hypothetical. Like, somebody is voting for Angel Reese for Rookie of the Year. It's not going to be unanimous. We know it's not going to be unanimous. It would be the equivalent of Caitlin Clark doing a media tour complaining about the one vote for Angel Reese. We would all call that petty, myself included. Like, it's a one thing in the media complaining about the fourth place vote, but it's another thing a player themselves complaining about that. And it's like, if it was any other player other than A'ja Wilson, it's petty. But because it's A'ja Wilson, apparently fans can't criticize A'ja Wilson. We then came into the season and within 2 games of the year, she was crowned unanimous MVP and unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. Like, look, she shouldn't have been the unanimous MVP. I think that it was almost neck and neck between her and Fee Collier because her team lost like 10 more games than they did last year. The more she shot the ball, the worse the team played, which is a fact. Like, the more she shot, the worse they played. They were better with her off the floor. And I'm not saying they would be better without her, but I'm saying that, like, her impact on the Aces is, like, not that her impact, she has no impact, but her impact isn't what the scoreboard would suggest. But yeah, if you questioned, like, I think Rebecca Lobo questioned one time, she goes, just was literally halfway through the year, goes, she's right now the favourite for MVP, and it could be the first unanimous MVP since Cynthia Cooper. Because she said the word could and not will halfway through the year, A'ja Wilson fans attacked her. Realistically, the only reason this was a unanimous MVP was because people were scared to be the person that didn't vote for A'ja. That's the truth. That's the truth. Because A'ja Wilson kept going, like, basically, I know who could vote for it. I know who made these votes. I know what people said. Like, if you didn't want to be that one person, you didn't want to be the one person who didn't vote for LeBron in 2013 doing your media tour. It's the only reason she was unanimous. Like, I think she probably deserved the MVP. Like, I'm not going to complain about that, but, like, I've never seen a unanimous MVP on a team who was the 5th seed for most of the year. But it is what it is with that. And then we're now looking at her not winning Defensive Player of the Year when she was not the best defensive player in the WNBA. And Fee Collier, UConn player, unrivaled, a player who is actually, like, who's actually trying to help other players out and not just talking up a big game. She set up Unrivaled to make sure players didn't have to go overseas, to make sure players were going to get paid. A player who's actually, like, again, trying to make the league better and not just sitting there complaining. She goes and wins Defensive Player of the Year. And then you've got Becky Hammon coming out basically accusing it being a conspiracy theory against A'ja. And, like, that's the thing. That's the problem when it is with the WNBA. If you do not say A'ja Wilson is the best offensive player, defense player, dribbler, shooter, every single thing in the WNBA, you will get killed. You're just, in the media, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to question if she's the best player in the world, because there is a question. She's not a better offensive player than Caitlin Clark. She's a better player than Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark is a traffic count on defense. But you are not allowed to say Caitlin Clark is a better offensive player than A'ja. Otherwise, you're going to get killed. If you say Ezzy Magbagor is a better rim protector than A'ja Wilson, you will get killed. If you say Fee Collier is a better defender than A'ja Wilson, because she is, you will get killed. That's the problem. That is the problem with this. Where it's like, it's being force-fed down people's throat. Just like, again, with the situation in April, which I think is disgusting. What she did with Kate, what she did. And by the way, every single big sports player has got toxic fans. Sports fandoms are toxic fandoms. The fact that A'ja Wilson might actually be is actually friends with her most toxic fan is wild. That's absolutely wild. The most toxic fan who has basically been, if he's got her ear, and if they are on speaking terms, and he's out there publicly in spaces saying WNBA players should get together and file police reports against Caitlin Clark. I don't know. Like, that's even, like, whatever about privately cutting ties, that's a public cut ties statement, I would think. But in April, when Caitlin Clark's Nike deal got announced, and A'ja Wilson went berserk on social media about Caitlin Clark getting a Nike deal, saying that it was never going to be fair to her, she never had an equal chance and all this stuff. When we find out that there's been talks for an entire year about A'ja Wilson getting her own shoe, and she was going to get her own shoe before Caitlin Clark, no matter what. And then all of that just so that she could release a week later, of course I have my own shoe.com. Like, as some marketing stunt, making sure you sent your toxic fans to attack a 22-year-old who had not dribbled a basketball in the league. And by the way, a 22-year-old who is bringing more eyes to this league, giving you more money. And not only that, has gone out of their way to try to get other players more money. Realistically, people don't understand how much money in like off-season stuff she's going to bring to Kelsey Mitchell, how much money she's going to bring to a lot of these players. Like, for example, Erica Wheeler's got her restaurant in Atlanta. There are going to be Iowa fans, Indiana fans that will go out of their way to go to Erica Wheeler's restaurant because of that. And you can say all you want about what reasons I think A'ja Wilson's like not likable. If Fee Collier was being pushed, I'd be happy. Fee Collier, like, there is probably no player that is harder to hate than Fee Collier, except because a lot of the A'ja stans, who the problem is WNBA media are A'ja stans, like actual like proper media. If you suggest Fee Collier is better than her, which in my opinion she is, you're going to get killed. And Fee Collier is probably the hardest player to hate in all of sports. She plays sports. She's uncontroversial. She plays on a really good team. She plays the game the right way. She plays offense. She plays defense. Her actual game is near flawless. When she speaks in the media, she speaks well. She doesn't criticize other players. She's trying to make sure the league's in the best spot, that every player is sorted. And then, if you want to, again, use the four-letter word that I'm not even going to entertain for why I dislike A'ja Wilson, the most likable player in the Fever is Erica Wheeler. Second most likable is Aaliyah Boston. And I would put, if you were putting the most likable players in the Fever, I would have Caitlin Clark like 6th. I'd have her like 6th. Aaliyah Boston, Erica Wheeler, Lexi Hull probably is more likable than Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Mitchell would be on the court. Both can kind of frustrate you. Off the court, I don't have an issue with either of them. But Temi Fagbenle, is more likable than Caitlin Clark. Like, the reality of it is that just being likable isn't going to make you the face of the league. You got to have game too. But the problem is that the player that they're pushing as the face of the league is the female Joel Embiid. She is the female Joel Embiid. And based on her game, based on some of the stuff she says in the media, based on Joel Embiid is just insufferable at times in the media. And that's my opinion about A'ja Wilson, just in general. Nothing to do with this, but obviously people are going to talk about that. This, I don't understand what that's all about. Like, I'm not American. I don't know. Like, I can kind of get it, but like, obviously I don't have lived experience or been around people that have lived experience in this situation, so I don't know nuances around it. She's just not very likable. I didn't like her before that. She's being shoved down people's throats, and it's now at the stage where you have to basically say, if you're talking about women's basketball, if you have an opinion other than A'ja Wilson is the best at every single aspect of basketball, which she's not, then you're apparently in the wrong, which is why I think they have a problem, because any new fans that want to get into the WNBA, if your favorite player is Caitlin Clark, if your favorite player is Angel Reese, if your favorite player is, if your favorite player, if you're just watching playoffs, Marina Mabry, if your favorite player is DeWanna Bonner, if your favorite player is whatever player, if their name does not start with A and have a dash and JA as the next two letters, you will be killed on social media. The WNBA has an A'ja Wilson problem. It does. A league cannot anoint a face. The fans choose who the face of a league is. And the reality of the situation is right now it's Caitlin Clark. If Juju keeps going on the trajectory she's going on, she could be the face. Paige Beckers, if she can get healthy and has some of that flair she has a freshman year, Paige Beckers could be the face. But the reality is, and realistically, in a couple of years' time, the talent in women's basketball is going to be so big that we don't know. Maybe we haven't even heard of the face in 5 years' time. Maybe that's somebody an incoming freshman. The reality of it is that the fans choose, not the WNBA. And by the WNBA choosing to push one of the most insufferable players in the league, it's not going to do it any good.